Have you ever watched a video that you have filmed years ago and said, why are you saying that? Or why did you do that? Well, in regards to the flooring, I've had that moment.
Hold on. Let's stop, rewind, and let's start from the very beginning. So we got a big day today, and kind of excited about this because this is probably one of the biggest transformations that you can do to an RV. The paint is big, painting the walls, painting the cabinets, but when you redo flooring, it is awesome. And so I want to kind of go through a couple things that we're doing to prepare, because again, just like painting, a majority of how well your flooring is going to perform is based on how well you prep. So a couple things to consider as you're doing this is you want your subfloor to be perfectly clean. So if you're going over a lot of old adhesive, a lot of old residue, you're going to want to come in with probably a 1/4 inch underlayment with some kind of Luan, and that way you're going to have a perfectly flat surface, a perfectly good surface for either if you're floating the floor or if you're adhering something down. You know that it's going to last the length of the time that you're going to be in your RV. So for us though, our flooring is pretty good. The underlayment's in great shape. There's not a lot of water damage. There's really no residue. But the one thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you get as much of the staples and carpet and everything that was left over off of the floor first. So your biggest tools are going to be your pliers and your screwdriver. These have such a strong grip at the front, and it's wide so you can grasp the whole staple. Then these are the easiest for me to get up. If you've got that one that's kind of dug into the ground a little bit and you can't get it out, that's when you go ahead and pry it up a little bit, take this, pop it up, and a little bit of upper body strength will have this job done in no time. The problem is that the way that they do these at the factory, they put in so many staples. I'm not talking staples, I'm talking so many staples. So you're really going to have to spend some time, and I know that it sucks, but you're going to have to take the time to remove every single staple from the floor, and I promise you, you will be so much happier with the results after you do it. The flooring that we've decided to use is, and this is a big debate. I've watched a lot of videos, talked to a lot of people, and honestly, I don't think there's a right answer. I think that when you're dealing with flooring, depending on how it connects together, you can do peel and stick. The problem is that if you're in very humid areas, that adhesive, it tackifies based on the humidity. So it could become detackified a lot easier if you have a humid area that you're going to be putting this in. So you might have, if you don't have it cut perfectly, you might see sliding of those. A good example is if you ever have done it in a bathroom, and you have the humidity of running the hot water, and afterwards, next thing you know, you see some of those slide down by the toilet area, and that's what you're going to get. The other thing you can do is you can get a luxury vinyl plank. Definitely no hard surface, I'm not a big fan of anything that you have to grout. I'm also not a big fan of anything that's extremely thick, because remember, if you've got a slide, you've got clearance issues that you have to worry about. So what we decided to go with is just a traditional LVP. And the manufacturer, I don't even know. We picked this up at a discount store here in North Carolina. I think we got this for about $1.89 a square foot. So to me, cost is a big issue. This is a fairly easy installation. So if it's something that I decide that I want to do differently or do something later, we can always pull this up. And honestly, it's going to come up because we're not going to adhere it. We're going to float this. We can use this someplace else. This is 3 millimeters thick is the dimension of, I think for a slide, I think you can go up to 5 millimeters and still be okay, but I wanted as little clearance as possible. I do like the fact that it does have a cushion underlayment underneath it. Not really cushiony, but enough to deaden whatever sound is there and to give you a little bit more support. I've seen people online glue these down. I really wouldn't recommend it just because of the way that this snaps. You want this to kind of breathe and move, because guess what? You're in a vehicle that breathes and moves. So you want as much flexibility as possible. And when you do get these down, then it's pretty easy for them to stay in one place, just because once they're connected all together, you've got one large surface throughout the entire RV. The other thing that we're going to make sure that we do, and again, comment if you've seen that you've gotten better luck elsewhere, is that I'm going to go ahead and install these from underneath the slide towards the kitchen cabinet area. Reason being is we've got probably about a 3-inch gap underneath, and there's no way in the world that I'm going to be able to slide these in with the tongue and groove to get as far back in as I want to go. So we're going to try that, and we're going to measure. It's very important that when you do this, you do measure all the way across, because you don't want to give yourself like a little 2-inch gap when you get to the other side, because I don't think that looks good. So measure it out so that way you can cut your first piece underneath the slide, so that when you get all the way to the other end, you have a decent sized piece, if not a full piece, to be able to just lay in and be done. Because it's much easier to cut at the very beginning than it is to cut at the end. So we'll continue with this, and stop along the way if we run into any problems. Hopefully we don't, and this is going to be a good installation, because we have a camping trip coming up in about 3 weeks. So my wife is saying it's not going to happen, but this is going to happen. We will be at the beach in 3 weeks, I promise you. Something that's, I guess, a good idea that's going to make sure that you get everything is if you try with these and you do get something up and you're starting to clear out an area, what you want to do is you want to take and wipe the floor. Make sure that you're wearing a good glove, because those things hurt once they cut through your skin, but you want to feel a nice smooth surface. If you feel anything that's rough, scrape over it again, and then you're going to see what your staple is. You'll see what you'll need to be able to remove, because you're pulling up a lot of these at a time, so you got a lot of extra debris. So use that, wipe away the debris, and then go back and you'll remove it all. It's going to take a little bit of time, but you will definitely thank yourself for making sure that you're that thorough. When you're looking at flooring, be sure to look at exactly how it attaches together. Some flooring products have a little bit larger surfaces that the interlocking actually goes into. But with these, it's such a small area that they lock in. And this is just, it's kind of, I wouldn't say particle board, but it's almost like a very durable cardboard. So if you do have any type of force that you have to use, it's going to break, or it's not going to go in quite right. There's a couple of areas that I can see a little bit of raising at the corners, but it's one of those things where is it as bad as can I live with it? And is it horrible? No, it's not horrible, and I don't think it's going to ruin the lifetime of the product. But it's one of those things that I know, being a perfectionist, and I guess I'm not a perfectionist if I'm willing to let it go, but I'm gonna always look at it. But it's just one of those things where it looks good, and you've been doing it long enough that you're just like, you're wanting to get done so you can enjoy it. And it's one of those like check mark things that later on, if the flooring doesn't perform, then I know I'll definitely replace it and spend a little bit more time doing it. But it's a pretty easy product to do for the most part, as long as it fits right. So you take the interlocking section, and you just kind of make sure that it lines up with what the other section that's in front of it. You slowly bring it down in, and it locks. So I have a rubber mallet that I use. There you go. That's that. No glue, no nails, nothing. We'll see. We're gonna cross our fingers that the finished product was something we're happy with. But I like the color. I really do. I like it with the light wood. So we'll continue going.
Do you know how some YouTube videos always make everything look perfect? They make it look like they only had to do it once, it went perfect the first time, and voila, the finished product. Well, that's not the way that I roll. Remember when I told you that I just wanted to get in it, and if I have to come back and redo the floor later, I'll do it? Well, be careful what you wish for. Check this out. This is one of the soft areas of the floor. It's not damaged, but it's just soft. It has movement to it. And what happens is that every single time we come through this area, which this is the main thoroughfare to walk into the back of the RV, this is what we step on. You remember me talking about how thin 3 millimeters is? Well, these little sections right here are so small that grab onto these corners that if you have any significant weight on this, it'll break. See how you see different elevations in the flooring? And you can kind of see where it's pulled up a little bit at every single part where it connects at from end to end. You can kind of see it again here. See how it creases like that? So the other struggle that I'm going to have is that I was smart enough to at least run a transition strip right here. So I can separate this back room from the front of the RV. And the flooring looks good. I mean, and honestly, I don't have to do anything. I just don't like seeing, especially that center, you can kind of see it just right in there. I just don't like seeing it, and I want to have a good finished product. So now the trick is to either find something that matches this perfectly, or else I'm ripping this up and I'm reinstalling everything in this room here too. Now this next time, I am probably going to do some kind of, I'm going to do probably some laminate in this area here and come back and just run a good transition strip right across the threshold here. So in case I ever have to replace the flooring again, the bathroom can stay the same. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and it could very well be installation error, but most people are do-it-yourself kind of people that are buying the products. So you want to make the installation just slightly easy, and if you've got this minuscule margin of error when it's coming to installing these, it just leaves room for something like this to happen. So am I going to redo the floor? Yes. Am I going to hire out somebody to do it? Probably not. It's an easy install. Am I going to do a lot more research on what flooring I need to put back in here? Yes, sirree, I am. Because I don't want to have to be doing another video about the video about me putting in this flooring. So stay tuned for another flooring update. So I guess that's the good news is, right? It's good content.